But as of midnight this evening, we get a brand new LostAlone song called The Final Call for Forever. And joining us on the show right now to talk all about it is Steven Battelle!
Hello.
Hey guys, how's it going?
All the better for seeing you, bro. How are you?
I just had a mild audio disaster, and I've done so much stuff in the last second to make sure you can hear me. It's unbelievable, but it's all good now.
It's happened to us live before, so
you sound beautiful.
Is it crystal clear?
Crystal clear,
good.
Crisp AF.
I've got like a whole studio set up there, and I had everything. And now I'm just on AirPods. Okay. So it's like
the thing is, it took me about 3 weeks to figure out how to set all this stuff up. So it's not.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, it's not the greatest start to our chat, but just on that point, it is like when you've got a load of good gear, they seem to make it harder for you to use it.
Yeah,
because they want you to use their thing. So
yes.
Yeah, I just had a mild. Yeah. Anyway, great to be here.
We made it.
Yeah. Oh,
yeah.
Bro, as I said on Twitter, man, we haven't caught up in so long. It is so good to see you.
Yeah, you too, man. I can imagine the place it was. It was a backstage somewhere.
Yep.
In like a kind of weird tent type thing, and we had a chat. It must have been a festival.
Yeah.
But I remember it because it was really good fun.
But it is not only so good to have you on our brand new show, but it's so good to have you back making music as well, doing what you do best. And it was a long break LostAlone went on. If you want to talk us through the process, I mean, where did the decision come to hit pause, and then when was the right time to come back?
Yeah, it was in brief, like we released 3 records, like all quite randomly different things. One was like mainly we were kind of doing really well in Europe, mainland Europe. Second one we signed to Warner Brothers in America, and like they kind of ruined Europe for us by going, hey, we're in America. It was like silly mistakes. And then our 3rd record, it got like so much acclaim, and the label we were on just went, yeah, cool. But we did nothing. It was like very frustrating. So we wanted to get out of the deal. So it's a tie, that happened to a lot of bands, but we were like, we just got like full marks for everything here. We'd try to do stuff, and we had like Radio 1 playlist, and the label just reply was cool. What? We were like, where's the mechanics around the label to go, hey, we should like do some stuff to like push this. Anyway, so it's a bit depressing. So we kind of decided to like just take a hiatus. And I just like decided the next day, like, well, I'm obviously a songwriter, so that's what I'm doing. And it proved like a bit more difficult. It's taken a while to kind of start doing good in that. But we've been friends, we're best mates, we spoke every day. And then I went to Nashville a few times, LA, like loads of like songwriting things. And then I won a cruise to New York on the QM2. And it's like old school, like you walk on, there's like string quartet. I was like the youngest person there because it was like seriously like, I don't want to say people were going there to like pass away, but there was a lot of people.
it was a last holiday.
Yeah, what it was there's some lovely people
back.
there, but they were just cruising like that's what they did.
Yeah.
But what was cool about it, and I'll get to the point, just feel free to edit me live if you just shut up.
We love a ramble. We love a ramble, bro. So go for it.
Effectively, what happened was it sounds quite magical, but I like magic. But because they were all so old, and if any of them happen to be watching, that's not an offensive. They just were old, like physically old. What happened was at night, I just had like the top deck of like a cruise ship to myself to just walk around, and it was unbelievable. So I'm in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, just looking up at the stars, and I just started hearing LostAlone music because I kind of put a tap. Like I've been writing for the people that did a couple of solo albums. I was like, oh, I've got to do this again. And I liken it to like when you're on a plane, like everything seems possible when you're above the clouds. You have all these grand ideas and you land and you're like, well, I'm not going to do that. You know what I mean? Like, but that cruise, it was 7 days of it. So it really embedded itself deep that like, oh, I can do this. So when I got to New York, I messaged the guys and were like, I've wrote a load of new songs, like in my free stateroom with my full recording rig, like on a balcony overlooking the ocean. Should we just like see what happens? And they were like, yeah, awesome. And then like 2 days later, Ray and Gerard from My Chem called me up and were like, do you solo want to support us at these stadium shows? And I was like, no, but could LostAlone? And they were like, yes, because they're like into the band. And then that's like November 19, and then pandemic hit.
Of course.
And we had to keep it secret for 2 years. And we didn't tell anyone the band was back together. In that time, we made a record. So I'd moved out to London to take songwriting a lot more seriously. Handily moved from Derby to London like a week before lockdown, and then sat in this room for 2 years. But what was cool was I just made the record. And we made a record that came out last year, and that's kind of, in a nutshell, what happened.
Oh my God.
Sounds a bit crazy when I say it out loud.
Bro, what a story. I mean, it is a crazy story. I mean, it is like the typical story of like, you know, the music finds you in whatever way. Like it's going to reignite that fire. And as you said, it came to you in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. I mean, what a place for creativity to relight itself inside.
Yeah, man, it was definitely like, I mean, I did never want the band to stop. Like, it's everything to me. And as soon as we made that announcement that we're back, and I became Steven from LostAlone again, I hadn't realized how much of like me was missing. I suddenly felt like that's me again. I'm back.
I guess
I just love it.
It's like it's like being part of a team, isn't it? I guess when you're on your own, it's sort of, all you have is yourself to rely on. And when you've got your bandmates, it's like, oh, if I'm struggling,
man. It was that, and it was really honestly, it was like doing a lot of the songwriting sessions where I co-write for other people now is like my kind of day job, if you could call it a job, because it's just fun. But I still felt like I was in this band and I wanted to tell people, but then they were like, "Oh, what are you up to?" I was like, "Oh, well, we did this in 2015." And it's like, it's not like relevant. Some of the people I'm like, we're playing at Trees actually, like Lozique, and I wrote this band called Bex yesterday, a girl who's awesome, wrote a wicked song. But yeah, they're all like, it's mad that they were probably like, 11 when the third LostAlone. It's weird. It makes me feel like old. But so now it feels cool because like my band's back together, and like you just mentioned, as soon as we got back together, it was like, cool, we've done an album. But like, if it wasn't for economics, I could release an album a month. Like, I can't not. I write like tonight after this, I'll do LostAlone all night, and then tomorrow I'm in a writing session with No Offense. So like, it's just LostAlone at night, and then writing for other people in the day, and that's all I do really.
I guess it's all the label logistics and all that when stuff has to be released. This must be so annoying just sitting on an album for like 6 months or whatever when you're like, can't we just get it out right now?
Yeah, I think even you guys are into loads of people. I reckon that's probably the one thing about doing music that artists wish is. I hope that. I mean, I'm not really sure what I think about AI, but I have always, for about 10 years, said the best way I'd like to be able to communicate my songs is like if it could just go from my brain into like the person who likes my band's brain, and they hear it. Like it's just like, oh, do you want to hear the new song? It's in your brain.
Bang.
Because even to me, I don't use instruments to write. Like I just write in my head, and then if I think it's good enough, I go to my guitar or whatever, lyrics and everything like that. And no matter how much I love the records we made, they're not quite the same as I heard them in my head, because you can't quite achieve that exact same thing. But then I'm still going to listen, everybody. But but if you want to really know, then you've got to like lobotomize my.
Need a direct link to your neural.
Yeah.
Well,
exactly.
Elon Musk might be getting Neuralink quicker than we're ready for, but as and when it is, I'm sure musicians will be jumping all over it.
Subscribe to my Neuralink.
Subscribe to my Neuralink.
It's like a Black Mirror episode.
That is, we should pitch that to Charlie Brooker, because that would be a great Black Mirror.
Well, I mean, let's talk about the comeback and the first record post hiatus. You only put out the one music video from it. I'm not sure whether there was other singles, but I mean, let's talk about Enduring the Dream. Like, even if that was the only single from the record, the song title alone kind of encapsulates everything that you've told story-wise just then in the lead up to that, but then combining the story that you've just told with the music video that visualizes that song, which I'm assuming was filmed on the My Chemical Romance run.
Yeah.
I mean,
we weren't pretending that was our stadium headline.
No, but but still, bro. Like, oh, sorry, go on.
No, I was just going to say, I don't know if you noticed, it's a Guns N' Roses tactic from Paradise City, I think, where they
Yeah, they
supported
played that
Aerosmith.
stadium, didn't they?
And they used the footage.
Yeah.
I mean, they really made it look like it was their show. Whereas we were just like, everyone knew we were not a stadium band, you know. So like, but yeah, so that's that song in particular. Enjoying the Dream. There's a lyric in the song: "Ambition's an affliction, every moment is a mission," and that sums up my life. Like, I I don't envy people who do like a day job. All my friends, but I can't not do this. And like the ambition is an affliction. Every moment's a mission. And that doesn't mean I'm like trying to like. I just feel I can't not do this. And the mental toll that can take over. Like I've been doing this since I was 11. Me and Mark, my drummer, formed. You know, we very Spinal Tap, but we must have had like 20,000 bands between 11 and 20 when we did LostAlone. But and we're still together now. Like and what's my point? Yeah. To me, it is a thing that like it's not like I could just go, and I have, and there's no offense to this at all, but over my time, I play with bands where instantly I can go, well, this isn't, you don't need to do this. You're cool, but you, I'm sure you guys, the minute, and they're totally cool people, but like for me, there's no part of like success or not success or anything. This is what I have to do, and I find, and somehow like there's a kind of weird way that I seem to manifest. Like I seem to just say things in my head and then they end up somehow like because I meant to say earlier, before Gerard and Ray called me, I thought to myself, I reckon my camera will come back and I reckon they'll ask us to do stuff. I mean, I honestly, I've always done that, and I often think to myself like, so I'm just going off on another one now, just feel free to stop me, but like because I only ever talk about this stuff when I do cool interviews like this, but like I sometimes think like, how is it that like, I don't know if you know all this, but like the way I'm sat here now is my band formed LostAlone, and we played on the side stage at Taste of Chaos in Manchester. There's a festival called Taste of Chaos, right? And there was
What
Green
year was
Gaffer.
that?
Huh?
What year was that? Because I was at one of those.
I don't know the year, but I know that Under Oath, Taking Back Sunday, Alexis
I
Fire.
I was at that show.
God,
yeah, I was at that
awesome.
show. 2005 or six,
maybe six.
Yeah,
6. So this is what happened, right? So we were in a gaffered area on the side, while Alexis on Fire crew on line checking. So I could hear them line checking while we were playing. And we're like going for it, really new band, so excited, like probably one of the biggest crowds we played to, like Manchester Apollo, which I was at the other day for Mars Volta, but I digress. And I looked round and I was like, oh, Take Back Sunday are watching us and Under Oath are watching us. And I thought in my head, that's so cool that like the bands watch other bands. What I didn't realise is they come down because they heard how incredible we were. Just joking, honest. But and then what happened was, so at the end of the show, the Take Back Sunday guys asked if we could be added to more shows, and we were like, amazing. And then at the end of the run, Take Back Sunday's front of house asked for a CD, and their guitar tech asked for a CD. And the front of house became Paramore's front of house on the next tour, and the guitar tech became second in command under Brian Schechter of Mike Hem. And within 2 weeks of that, Gerard Way called me and said, your album's like my favourite thing I've ever heard. And then they invited me to the Black Parade tour in Nottingham, went and met him, all cool. Everyone's joking around about like, Gerard does not stop listening to your record. I'm just going, I've just watched like the Black Parade. It was awesome. And then that was it. Then we said, let's keep in touch. And then Hayley got in touch and we did the Riot release shows. And then we did 3 tours of Paramore. And everyone thought we were buying onto tours. We had no money. And we were borrowing money off my mum. I think my mum took out a credit card for one of the tours we did.
God.
But and then the last part of that funny story is that the same week Gerard had got in touch, I got a call from his assistant or whoever it was from a hotel like 3 days later going, what are you doing on Sunday? And I was like, oh, just rehearsing. He's like, cool. Thursday I've just been dropped and I've got to fly back to America. Can you come to Dublin and join the Black Parade tour? And I was like, yeah.
Let me think about that for a second. Yep.
Yeah. But then I said, I don't know if we could afford it. And they were like, how much you need? And I just went, £1,000. Like, I didn't know what to say. Anyway, cool. Give us bank details. And that started a huge relationship with the Mike M guys, which is still like, I've been out there, wrote stuff out there with them. Not for Mike M, I'll be clear to say that. But I wrote with the guys, with Ray. And we just become friends, because it's obviously there's a big disparity in success, but in terms of where we come from and what we like and our attitude to everything, it is very similar. And my point that I was actually going to make ages ago before this was, I find it so odd that, like, I remember watching and saw Helena on Scuzz, and I sat there and I thought, and I used to go to this club called the Blue Note. I never used to drink. I used to stand on my own. This was before the band did anything. I used to watch the dance floor, and when a song came on that I loved, like Helena, I then would get this adrenaline rush, and I would run 3 miles home to a parent's house and just dream things on the way. And one of the things I always think is, how many other people were watching that Helena video and going, I've got a connection with them, I reckon that we'll do stuff. But I thought it, and then I've got Gerard writing a 2-page thing in NME saying that my band saved his life, and there's this connection. I know every word, like, and I sometimes wonder, like, and I'm not just saying that as like a name drop about Mike M, but a lot of things that happen, like in my band things, where I sometimes wonder, like, I don't understand how these weird, because the amount of other people I think would have thought that same thing. And for me, like, it just was manifestedly, and somehow there was a connection, and we genuinely felt like there's a connection, and we just, you know, it's like, what, like 15 years later, and they asked us to do stadium shows, and we'd talk, and you know what I mean? Like, I think it's just super cool. Anyway, I don't know what the question was,
Bro,
but I
think there is. I mean, I don't understand it, but it's obvious there is something in, like, if you manifest. Oh, manifestation is like a weird sort of word that people have taken over recently, but I feel like if you will something enough, then things can happen. If you believe it enough in yourself and you try hard enough,
hell yeah,
things will happen.
I think it's about listening to your inner monologue as well. Like, you strike me as someone telling that story just then, he's always been very in touch with themselves and very in touch with where your purpose on this planet lies. And hearing you have such an affinity with, you know, like a Mike M song that you saw on Scuzz, and then, you know, that kicking you off to running home, like being the energy kicking off to you running home.
Yeah.
It's like you hear people still tell stories like that, and you can tell, like, within the essence of their energy, it's something they were put on this planet to fucking do. And it's like, you don't have that wave of emotion come over you from music unless you have an affinity with this thing that humanity's created, and it's something that you are destined to then be within yourself. And like, hearing you talk just then about, like, the connection that, you know, you formed with the band that you were listening to in that circumstances, it sounds like the universe always had this in mind for you, which is so awesome to see, because hearing you tell these stories about, you know, this crazy storied career that you've had will then only go on to inspire the people. I mean, you just mentioned that you're working with artists like Noah Finch and like Bex as well. It's like, you know, having someone like you who has lived this life and paved this path and goes, anything is possible as long as you're crazy enough to fucking go after it.
I think that's the key there. It's about, like, it's the crazy element.
Yeah.
I think maybe other people go, nah. I thought that, but what? As if, but like, yeah, I definitely always been driven. That's fact. Like, I've always been like, well, obviously we're gonna play Reading. You know, like, well, that's just what you do. Like, yeah, and I think what I do think about a lot now is, like, all that one moment at Taste of Chaos is the reason we're talking. Like, it did take that. That's why. I mean, maybe there was other routes to stuff, but like, these things. I think the point I was trying to make is these things keep happening to me. Like, I just co-wrote the new McFly record. I spent 2 years, like,
what?
So I don't know if you knew that or not. But I 2 years ago, literally, Jason Perry, do you know him?
Yeah,
the producer
from
Ace Band A. Yeah, I got a message. We never worked together, but he once heard a LostAlone song and just on Radio 1 and just tweeted me and went, dude, this is awesome. Because I'd harmonized I'd harmonized the T-Rex from Jurassic Park with the lead Orakai in Lord of the Rings 2 Towers in D minor. And that's how it started the song. And Jason was like, this is awesome.
Bro, hold on. Before you glazed over that sentence, like, so nonchalantly, as if that was something that people do in day-to-day life.
Oh, yeah, I just sampled the...
Yes, that's obviously there's something wrong with me, but yeah, that happened. That's on a strange song called Doomageddon, Global Metafictional something. I can't remember my own song title. It's so long, but it's anyway. It was a weird one. Anyway, Jason, we just become friends, and I did a couple of because he produces now, like Don Broco, and,
Yep.
and he's been McFly's producer for the last few albums. He messaged me 2 years ago, going, "Dude, can you send some riffs over down McFly studio?" So I wrote a couple of songs, thinking like, because I come from a heavy world, like I love heavy music, but I also love all music. Like I love musicals as well. I'm a big musical fan. But anyway, so I wrote a couple of songs thinking this is McFly. What I'm not one of the people that they were a band that got me into guitars.
Yeah.
Queen got me into guitars. Like, but listen to Queen, my mum playing Queen. That's where I'm from. But so I was like, cool. And I sent these songs. Like, these are wicked songs, but no, they want riffs. I was like, really? So I sent a few riffs, and a few hours. Like, I wrote 10 riffs in an hour. Just sent them over to him. And about 3 hours later, he sent this thing going, "Dude, one of those riffs is definitely making the album. The guys want to know if you want to come down." So I went down. At this point, I've done writing in Nashville and LA, like pop stuff. I get down, I was dead nervous. Instantly, we just hit it off, like instantly. And then they just put a guitar on me, gave me a Marshall stack, and went, "Let's go." They got a setup like it's like a big, it's like a live room.
Yeah.
And I just put my head down and played a riff, and it's the last track on the album. I've been there 2 years and wrote 7 songs with them on the album. And it's just been genuinely one of the best experiences of my life. And then that's why LostAlone are doing the McFly tour, which I never thought we'd do. We're doing their tour in October, which is, again, like we can tour in My Chem, Paramore, 30 Seconds to Mars, Evanescence. We can tour with McFly. I think we could tour with like super heavy bands as well. Like without trying, we've got a bit like bands like Biffy and stuff.
Yep.
Like we've got big riffs, but we also got anthemic choruses, so you can tailor your set without compromising your integrity to. So I just thought that's an awesome challenge, and I genuinely love the guys so much. And now I've got a writing team with Danny and Dougie. We write. So tomorrow is No Offense. It's me, Danny, and Dougie.
What?
So yeah, that's evolved into us having a team to write for the people. So yeah, so again, those weird things where Jason Perry liked a song and tweeted me to now like just had a number 2 record with a cool band that I never saw coming.
That is so fucking cool.
Yeah, I'm going to Guns N' Roses tomorrow with Danny, so you get those little bonuses as well.
Amazing.
Bro,
so cool,
your life is insane.
Dude, it is mad. Like, it just seems to be like stumbling to like, oh yeah, cool, I'll do that. What? Like,
oh my! Someone's just googled that song title that you were on.
It turns out it's Alan from your band.
Oh, is it?
If you just read,
it's Alan from your band.
What have they googled?
Google the song title. So Doomageddon.
Oh yeah.
Brackets global.
I know. Thermonuclear metafictional warfare.
Yep.
There he is.
And the thing in the brackets is from the 1980s movie War Games, and it's the I don't know if anyone out there knows War Games, but it's a wicked film where this kid thinks he's playing a computer game, but he's actually controlling NORAD, and he's launching Russia against American nuclear. And the game is called Global Thermonuclear Metafictional Warfare. And I was like, I'm just chucking that in brackets at the end of the song title because that's
metal as fuck.
But yeah, so if people want to listen to that song, the very first thing you hear is that harmonized T-Rex and Orakai. And also, I just want to say, I think did not get permission. So if like anyone's listening from ILM or like Pete Jackson,
it's fair use.
Feel
if you
free.
change it enough.
Yeah.
It's in fair use law. Okay.
Yeah, hopefully, yeah.
Oh, we will defend that with our lives. But I mean, like, dude, like the stories that you've got are insane. I mean, like, I could pick apart anything that you just mentioned and absolutely anything. But in fact, like trying to keep it to like LostAlone based conversation because I mean, just like, dude, we could talk to you about that McFly story, about the MCR stuff for days. But I mean, talking about Queen just then, that single that you chose to put out, like Enduring the Dream, like when you wrote that song, right, did you feel an essence of Freddie Mercury within you? Because like when I listen to that tune, like everything about it feels like something Freddie would have written.
Well, I think like to say that that's just like a permanent state for me is an understatement. Like I am like ninja level Queen. I mean, my favorite Queen album is Queen 2, and it's tattooed on my arm. And I'm looking at framed Queen stuff that you can't see there. Like I'm like a big collector of Queen, and also of everyone's got this with their favorite bands. It's something I can't describe. I adore it, and it's within me. So I guess the answer to that question is no. I wasn't thinking of Queen. It just can't help that that's what I am.
Just
like
there.
I just am, and I think a lot of LostAlone songs are a combination of the fact that I used to pretend to be Bruce Dickinson and I Maiden on my bed when I was younger, and I also love Queen, and I love very heavy music, but I also like just went to see Frozen the musical and somehow managed talking to the actress who plays Elsa after, and now we're going to write together. What? So like, I love musicals, and like there's just like a kind of, I'm the only guy who went to see Frozen because I love Samantha Barks, who's the lead. She was in Les Mis, the movie, and she's amazing. She's got the best voice ever, and she plays the lead. If you walk around London, her pit posters everywhere because she's like Elsa in Frozen. Anyway, so LostAlone is a combination of like I love nothing more than like if I could just be in like the back of a musical in a big crowd of people singing harmony. That's my like absolute dream. So LostAlone is like the heaviness of the bands I've always loved, Nirvana and to all the metal stuff, Maiden and everything. New bands like, well, not new, but I love Sabaton. They really hit.
Nice.
Man, Sabaton, Christ. I went to their show the other day. It's like ABBA on metal steroids. Like, it's unbelievable.
Do you still have a tank as a drum kit?
Yes, the tank, it fires as well at certain points. It's just phenomenal. But yeah, I really love. I'm a big music. I'm a fan more than being a songwriter. I travel everywhere. I've got a band in Copenhagen called Mew, MEW.
Oh yeah,
incredible band, one of the best. And yeah, just to carry on my comedy life, they've been one of my favorite bands ever. And I end up at the lead singer's house in Copenhagen writing a song and staying for him for 3 days. I just don't understand my life.
Your passport must always be in your pocket all times because you never know when you're going to get flown on a random flight somewhere.
I know. I saw Billy Talent the other day in Brighton, travelled for that. I adore Billy Talent. I love Shikari, and like obviously we toured together, and me and Rou have done some writing now. Rou's kind of a floating member of me, Danny, and Dougie's like writing team. So
really?
he'll come down, and like me and Rou did a couple of things here and at his house. So I find like it's just that thing of like, if you're a nice person, like karma, because I know a lot of people in this industry I've met who are not too nice, and I've always just tried to like just be a good person, and I find that that's why a lot of the things that I've done in the past are still helping now, and you get, you know what I mean? Like it is karma, but like
people want to work with you because they're like, oh, he's a nice guy and he's talented,
and he's fucking talented as well.
Well, I mean, clearly I'm obviously a genius, so. But some people don't get my humor because some people now be like, that guy said he was a genius. So I'm obviously just, I mean, I've been called a genius in magazines. So I mean,
good, as you should.
Anyway, not my words.
I'm taking it too far now. The joke. I'm not saying I'm a genius.
Yeah, but I'll say it for you because I mean, like anyone who can sample dinosaurs and other mythical creatures over the top of each other, like that doesn't come from a normal train of thought. You've got to have something special within you in order to like, especially like when you said there that your writing process exists within your head. I mean, like I'm guessing you must be close to like perfect pitch. Like you've got.
No.
Really?
No, I don't even, and I would encourage everybody to not do music lessons, like unless you want to be like a classical. Yeah. I've been called like like when Kerrang magazine do things like rockstar thing, like, and I've been like, the categories like guitar wizard, and I always say this, and not to like just diss my ability, but I think when people watch me and think that guy's an incredible guitar player, but I can play the stuff I've written, and because I'm singing at the same time, it probably does look pretty mental that I can do both things, but I'm not like a technically incredible guitar player. There's people I've met who are like insane, but I don't think people could probably play my riffs, but that's because I've heard them, and I find it really interesting. For the My Chem tour, we added an extra guitar player. We've always been a 3-piece, but we kind of like, for stadiums, like most 3-pieces, I'd never put stuff on track. So we thought, let's add a because the records are very built up. What I found interesting was amazing guitar player, great friend, but he was like, "This is quite weird. Like, this is not right." And I'm like, "Well, it is right because I wrote it." I think it's that thing where like, so my advice, not that anybody's asked, is like, just do what you hear because that will make it right for you.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm not perfect pitch at all.
Damn.
I just like to walk, and I think it was detrimental recently because I love my AirPods. I love listening to a podcast or something, but I've now trained myself to every morning, because I get up at like 5. Like I have to get up early. I can't rest.
Oh, you're an early
I
bird.
I really get up early. I go for a walk without any headphones because I'd started to not hear music because I was always stimulated.
Right.
But now I do that walk, and it's quite a thing because you get the comfort of like, oh, I'm listening to like the news agents podcast because I love politics.
Yeah.
I'm not hearing music, so I've started like just doing walks and then being able to dictate into my like phone what I'm hearing, and it's just game changed me again. Like, especially for LostAlone, because with writing sessions, when I first started, I was very much like I'd prepare for days, like what should we going to write? Whereas now I do the opposite. I'd go in with nothing.
Yep.
And I found that the most success I have in that is just on the spot,
Yeah.
getting to know the artist. Anyway, we'll talk about writing again. Back to LostAlone. Forget writing.
It's all good, bro. I mean, like, yeah, if we want to take it back, brand new song out at midnight, the final call for Forever. I mean, what's the most you can tell us about this song before it drops at midnight?
I'd say it's probably one of the heaviest LostAlone songs ever.
Okay.
Like by a long way. There's a section in the middle that I've called the nightmare anxiety section, and it's just like I started getting like panic attacks, which I never have had before, but only in the night, where I bolt up and then like I'm just sat like, and I just don't know, and I don't know why, and I just don't know why, but I tried to put that into a song. So the middle section, I hope it doesn't cause panic attacks, but so there's a big section of that, but it's actually a prequel to a song on the last album, which was called The Last Drop of Forever. And I was thinking when I wrote it, like George Lucas made the Star Wars prequels like 20 years after they came out, with all the baggage of fan theories and reviews and everything. And it kind of ruined what he probably originally would have been. So I was like, it'd be quite fun to get myself back in the headspace of a song I wrote on the QM2 and try and, like, while it's still fresh, write a prequel to it. So it's actually a prequel to a song on the last record. Not like as a narrative, but just for me, I know it is. And it comes from the same place. And it's just the start of a bunch of singles that are going to come out this year towards, like, I mean, I don't care about saying stuff like there'll be another album like next year. So it's just like single and single. It's a big riff. It's always got I think it's a big musical chorus because I can't help however heavy so it gets. I have to like go full like stage show in the middle.
Full Frozen.
Full Frozen. That's a good term actually. I might use that.
Full Frozen.
I might scream that on stage at 2003 as we go into it. Full Frozen.
Full Frozen.
Yeah. So just everyone will be like, what? But yes, I'm so excited. It's always like so awesome, like when you release new stuff, because I love people telling me it's good. I just like it. Like, I mean, I tend not to see this stuff if anyone slags it off, but it's dead nice when you've slaved away on something to then get, like we talked about earlier, I wish I could write a song and then instantly get told by fans, oh, we love that. And they kind of wait for it is like a thing. And then now you're actually going to like get to, have people tell you from around the world, oh, that's a cool track, So I'm like, I'm really excited to just have another song out there. Really cool.
Hell yeah. And just in time for 2000 Trees Festival next weekend, as you mentioned. And I mean, especially with where the band is now, I mean, set list wise at a festival, are you looking at putting more newer stuff in there, or are you still looking at like throwing it back with a couple of classics, or are you trying to focus more on what you've been writing like from that last album and then going forward?
Yeah, I think like it is a tough one actually, but for sets like this where they're probably like half an hour, like we're main stage on a Friday, but not like one of the later bands, like we're just like like it's awesome to be on the main stage.
Hell yeah.
So for me, I tend to look at it more like a festival. We're not a big enough band where like there's a lot of people who don't know us are going to be there. So to me, it doesn't matter as much to like where we play our headline shows that you've got to put in songs that maybe aren't as, I don't want to say it's fun, but I obviously always like playing the new ones. So, but what's cool about this is it probably is going to be more tailored towards the new stuff because that's what I think is the best stuff at the moment. And I think there'll be a lot of people out there who haven't seen us. Well, I hope there'll be people in the crowd when we play. But you know, I want to focus on the newer stuff, and so yeah, there's going to be like, you know, we probably only play like 7 songs at a festival like this, so like it'll probably be like mainly new and a couple from like our, you know, what's considered hit songs from different albums that people resonated with, you know.
I was going to say to you, so the record that I found you on was I'm a UFO in This City. That was back when I was working at Kerrang Radio producing Matt Stocks on his evening show.
Legend.
What a boy. And I mean, that album, I revisited it just before you came on today. Just, you know when a record takes you back to a very certain point in time in your life, and then you start getting all the visual memories from it, and totally. Listening to songs off that record like Obey the Rules You Lose and Love Will Eat You Alive, and I was like, oh my days, like I've missed LostAlone being in my life. And then
so cool.
And then that pushed me in the direction of the newer stuff, and I was like, it's such a seamless transition. I feel like the songs that you're writing now, it's like production wise you can hear a difference in production, but it's still got what that bite was that LostAlone was on. I'm a UFO in This City. And I also didn't realize, looking back on it, like I feel like, you know, that My Chem connection, that's a very Danger Daisy kind of feeling record for you. Like
that's before that's actually before Danger Days as well. That's the record that so that's the record that after we do all that stuff I told you about earlier with My Chem, there's a few things went on, boring stuff, but then Gerard and me started talking, and I sent him really bad demos. So we didn't have a deal. We'd come out of our deal we were in, and we were like done our first record, and I sent him like over a weekend like 60 demos, and he was like, we're feeding back, and they were awful. I mean, I think good songs, but like I wasn't very good at that point at doing stuff. And he just said, is it cool if I take these into Craig Aronson at Warner Brothers? I was like, yeah. I mean, so and Craig's a legend. He signed My Chem, and he was to do with that the drive-in, and he signed Jimmy Eat World twice. If you watch the My Chem documentary, the really famous one, Life on the Murder Scene, they talk about him a lot. I mean, he signed them. Craig's unfortunately passed away now, absolute legend. But anyway, so this is that you'll enjoy this. Sorry if I'm taking a little time, but you'll enjoy this little story. So on the Friday, we sacked our management. Our bass player left the same day. On the Saturday, there was a weird thing where I didn't have any connection to My Chem guys at that point, other than we played with them and we talked, but we didn't have a direct link. It was always through other people, but we'd severed ties with some people that could get through. So I got a copy of The Black Parade Is Dead and found a name that I hadn't had any contact with called Carmen Romano. And I rang the number. I thought, I'm going to have to have a big speech here. He's a New York lawyer. And I was like, I got this secretary, and I was like, oh, hey, I know it's a bit random, but I'm actually friends with Gerard. But I just haven't, they've heard this a million times. Just trying to get hold of him. I was wondering if I could speak to Carmen Romano, and she went, I'll put you right through. And I was like, what? So she put me through to Carmen Romano, and I say, listen, this is a deal. We were managed by this person. That's how we had contact. Gerard's a fan of the band. I'm just trying to get in touch. And he went, I'll make sure he hears this today. I was like, whatever. So he called a few hours later. I get a call from an American number. I'm like, what, it's Gerard. And so so no management, no label, bass players left. And that weekend, Gerard starts listening to demos. We remember this guy in Glasgow who supported us, who had hair like ours, and we just thought, I wonder if he'd be good on bass. So superficial. We called him down for an audition. He came on the Monday. We were like, however good he is,
he still got the haircut.
yeah, he did have the haircut. Thank God. He came down, and he was amazing. Straight away, I was like, you're in the band. And then 2 days later, Craig Aronson called me and said, hey, Steve, just want to introduce myself. Gerard believes in you. He said some amazing sentence, but it was effectively Gerard's word to me is just whatever, we need to talk. And then Gerard called me while I was in a cinema about a week later, And I went out and he went, dude, I just need to tell you, Warner are about to offer you a deal. And I was like, what? So that was within a week of like losing everything to like having this thing. Anyway, I'm a UFO in the City is the album that, because Gerard did that and was so instrumental, we made him executive producer. He helped get the actual producers involved. And yeah, it's one of the best times of my life. We had a month period where I would wake up in Derby, I'd write a song knowing that at 4 p.m. LA time, they'd be up. So they'd have a new demo every day for 30 days, and then I'd get instant feedback. And that UFO album, apart from 2 songs, was all written 2 weeks before we recorded it because I was just buzzing. And there was this I'd never been like A&R'd, if you can call it. It's a horrible term, but it was somebody I respected so much with Craig Aronson. He was just like, it wasn't like change your sound. It was like, well, what if you were like Freddie Mercury playing Wembley? It was like, and I was like, okay, see you tomorrow. It was like things like that. So it was just such a beautiful, how I'd like dreamt it would be. And then, we got to go out to LA and we made that record there with a guy called Greg Wells, who's now like, anybody watching this who's got any like recording equipment like Logic, Greg Wells plugins, what everyone uses, he's like one of the biggest producers on the planet. And he also did the album we did Lockdown remotely. He mixed it for me. So again, that's what I mean about like, that was a friend we made then. We got on well. Then he joined Lockdown. I asked like one of the biggest producers on the planet, hey, could you mix these songs? And he's like, yep, 100%. Just all those cool things where if you like good people, I think you kind of, Anyway, UFO in the City was that album.
Holy shit.
It's crazy, man.
Dude.
It sounds crazy to me telling this because I don't really say these words out loud much,
So I'm a UFO drop before Danger Days then?
Yeah. That was,
that's 23rd.
Unless I'm lying.
Well, no, because
I'm totally...
Because if that's the case, there is so much of your influence on that Danger Days record. There's probably influence of it anyway, hearing how highly like Gerard speaks of you. But I mean,
and I wouldn't want to, just be clear, I wouldn't want to ever claim like I'm some like I just
No, that's me. That's me connecting those dots as a music lover and as a fan. Like I'm sat there listening to your record, being like I can hear like elements of like your song, like even like the way in which your relationship is with like your voice and the guitar, like the way in which like your voice is very similar, like tonally speaking, to Gerard's as well. And like
I'd say his is a loads better. He's a lot more expressive. I'll also just say this. I've just figured out in my head, Danger Days came out before UFO, but UFO was written and recorded and in the can before.
Damn, so he would have been hearing that record as well.
Well, yeah, he's literally on, his name's on it, but we had a big delay. So we did the Danger Days tour and the record was ready, but it didn't come out because everyone at Warner Brothers, who we knew, was laid off.
What?
So there was like that's the next part of that story, which isn't quite as nice. But so we're on the Danger Days tour, meeting everyone at Warner Brothers in Europe because we signed in America. And I get a call like when we're in like Sweden from Craig just going, just so you know, me and my top boss, we're no longer at Warner. Not sure what's going to happen. So like the Hughes, Tegan and Sarah against me all got dropped. We got kept on the label, but I always think that was because like Gerard had brought us in and Warner didn't want to like annoy like one of their biggest acts. So we ended up having to like negotiate to get off it. So the record was made in 2010 and I believe it came out in 2012. Now that is painful.
Yeah.
I think Danger Days was 2011, which is when we did the tour. So that record was 2 years old when it came out.
I can't even begin to imagine the frustration for like, especially someone as creative as you, who like hearing you talk about your own music. You talk about your own music like you're your number one fan of your music, which I always think a good good musician is. Like a good musician,
you got to back yourself.
Yeah, 100%. Like
listen, I listen to myself loads. I don't even lie. Like the new single that's coming out all the way today, I'm just listening to it, imagining other people.
Yeah.
I
do that a lot.
I love it, man. It's awesome. Like I don't necessarily I don't ever listen to our older albums unless it's like, we're going to do something for it, or like we're rehearsing and I want to get in that vibe. But the new stuff, and everyone I know does this, when you got a new recording, you're so excited. It's all you listen to days and days. Yeah.
Steven, dude, your stories are the fucking best, man. And like, what's awesome is like my favorite part of this comeback is that like you've obviously been living within the musical scene like over the last 7 years or however long you said it has been. Like you've still been doing stuff, but as you said, like LostAlone was like part of your identity, and it was part of what made you, and now it's back. Like just hearing you talk with this level of excitement, not just about the past but about the future as well. I mean, touching on that last record, but also hearing you talk about the fact that, you know, it's singles, the plan the rest of the year. There's a record in mind at the end of the journey. I mean, like to end this interview on, dude, like my last question to you is that like, how does it feel? Like, how does it feel? Everything that you've been through with the gap of not having LostAlone, to all the stuff, the experience, to the songwriting process, like how does life feel for you right now?
It feels like, I think I've always, when the band like went on hiatus, ended, whatever you call it, like I was just like, okay, well, I'm obviously a songwriter, I obviously do this, and I've just kind of put my head almost in the musical sand of like, I just do this. I've always been quite relentless. The only difference in me now, and to answer your question without rambling on for ages, I'm trying really hard now to do something I never did before, which was to actually enjoy the moment. Like I played like so many stages, dream things like Wembley 3 times, like supporting bands, and all I was thinking on stage is what's that, like I was a business mind thinking, yeah, this tour's ace, but what's coming up next? Like I was always, and that goes back to that lyric I said, ambitions and affliction, every moment is a mission. And then on the new single that comes out tonight, the first line is fate, it's overrated, I don't want to live a life if I can't change it, and the world is your oyster but it's swallowed by a whale, we're all just part of the great exhale. And it's speaking to exactly what you just said. Like you gotta, like I like the magical nature of fate, but I gotta make it. Like no one who's like done well in anything they do was on some kind of fate. They are driven. I always think of Kurt Cobain, about people thought his like persona was, I didn't mean for this to happen. He totally meant, he was driven and wanted his band to be massive. Like, or they wouldn't have been. It's very easy to go, no, I'm not signing to Geffen.
Yep.
Like he wanted it, you know. So, so that's what I'd say about it. I think the lyrics on that song, like, kind of, again, I didn't realize that's how I just said it, but that kind of sums up the answer to your question. Like, fate is overrated.
Bro. Like,
beautiful words to end on.
They are phenomenal words to end on. And I mean, as of midnight, those will be the first words that I'm listening to going into this weekend.
Awesome.
I am so fucking excited for this brand new LostAlone song. It's called The Final Call for Forever. And like, Steven, we could easily chat to you for another hour, my friend, but you are a very, very busy man. But this will be the first conversation of many, because anytime you want to come on the show, anytime you've got anything to promote, anytime you want, like, there's anything you want to talk about, this show's your platform. Just let us know. We will have you on any time that you want to come and talk.
That's so awesome. I've really enjoyed this chat. It's great to catch up, guys. Really.
Hell yeah. And we look forward to seeing you next weekend on the fucking main stage at 2000 Trees Festival.
Yeah, that's going to be so cool. I love that festival as well, so I'm really, really excited to be at it.
Hell yeah. Well, my friends, 2000 Trees Festival is next weekend. You got to make sure you check out LostAlone. One time, show some love and appreciation to Steven Battelle.
Cheers, Steve.
Woo!
Thanks, guys.
I'm gonna put myself on a cruise.
Yeah. do it. See you guys later.
Thank you, bro. Take care, man. Bye. Oh, bro.
Man's got stories for days.
Bro. That is one of my favorite interviews we've done on this show.
Yeah.
Like, genuinely, like, straight up in there is one
just
of my
everything he had just had like another story attached onto the story.
Yeah.
Attached onto the story. Yeah, that was great.
Oh,